Greetings and welcome to another River Radio Sports Central podcast powered by our friends at NovaCare Rehabilitation. Alongside Matt Varney from 103.5 ESPN, I am Darren Kennard, and we are on the final Friday of May, and that means we are down to the final couple of weeks to the high school season. Many schools are already done with the actual class time. The seniors have graduated, and we are down to essentially, it's trophy time and the battle for state championships.
Basically, track is basically into, like you said, trophy time, championships going on this weekend. And then baseball, softball, they're in those final weeks as well. 3A just hit regional time, but, this time next week, there's going to be action at state for 1A and 2A. We're down to the last bits here, and I didn't mention other sports, but they're all either past it at this point or they're also getting in there.
Yeah, girls state track championships were last weekend in Charleston, and just a personal note, on my trip up to Charleston on Saturday morning, I had the misfortune of having a tire blowout. Sounds much worse than it was, but I was between Salem and Centralia, and the tire warning light came on, and I just watched the PSI go, and I'm like, just let me get to the rest area. And those that on 57 know where that rest area is at. I could see the rest area, and then I hear thump, and and anyway, so that put me 2 hours behind, and I got to Charleston a little afternoon, and of course, as my luck would have it, again, that's the fortunate thing was it could have been a lot worse, but when I get up there, we have had our two state champions individually, and they're both named Emma.
Of course.
Emma Bierman in 1A won the triple jump, and Emma Skeet in 2A won the shot put. Yeah. And just incredible efforts from both of them to come away with state titles. Michaela Gajewski in Nashville got second in the shot put. Again, also I was not there, and not that I'm still bitter about that. But again, just first of all, that is a spectacle. The state track championships are a spectacle. Everybody talks about getting to the blue track at Eastern. But what a great atmosphere, and for those two young ladies to walk away with state championships, that's a big deal.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, both of them still have some years in front of them. It's a fantastic situation. As we said before, the past couple of weeks, just Southern Illinois, this is kind of their time to shine. Obviously, you're not going to take every event, but you have a chance to really show people what Southern Illinois is all about and what type of athletes we have. This is a fantastic couple of weeks here for both the girls and the boys state track and field, and great to see them bringing some hardware home.
And that was just the start of a monster day for Bierman, who also medaled in the long jump as well. And in the long jump, she ended up sixth, and then she ran both hurdle events and medaled in both of those. She finished fourth in the 100 hurdles, and she was sixth in the 300. So 4 medals. And including a state championship, right. Just an incredible day. I mean, we talked about her a lot during basketball season. Mm-hmm. Very good volleyball player, and clearly a standout in track and field.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you have those type of athletes at your school that just they excel in everything that they do, you better appreciate what you got while they're there. And luckily, again, she's got a few more years that people can go ahead and appreciate it, but. Again, track and field, it's where the athletes truly shine, and she is just coming through right here this past season, just looking fantastic.
And as part of that big day, in addition to Michaela Gajewski, they also had a couple of other medalists as well, including Ellie Bartling in the shot put, and then also let me find it. Also in the. And I know this is it was in the pole vault. That's where it was. And that was Lexi Welty also medaling in the pole vault. And so when you add all that up, they ended up fifth as a team, and they were not that far. They were leading at the midway point during the day, and it was like, holy cow. But to finish fifth, top three get the trophies, but fifth is pretty dang impressive.
Yeah, I mean, consider just how many schools you're competing against Obviously, you've whittled it down to get to state, but still consider just how many are there that you're competing against if you're in the team competition. Fifth is nothing to sneeze at. Yeah, you don't get to take home the trophy to show in your trophy case that, which I know Nashville has got a full trophy case as is. I'm sure that they'd have trouble figuring out where to put it. But still, you want that trophy. But at the end of the day, you still get to say, hey, we finished top 5. That's pretty darn good.
No doubt. And speaking of great individual performances, and again, a multi-sport standout in 2A, Mount Vernon's Kamari Pollard, she finished 4th in the 100, and she was 2nd in the 400, and that was just a great day for her. And again, it's a situation where she left it all out on the track. You hear that phrase a lot, but she was challenging for the lead down the stretch of the 400 and just couldn't quite hold on to that lead. But to finish 2nd, to wrap up a great career. This is a young lady that had medaled in the jumps,
right?
In previous years, and she just focused on the sprints and running. And to come away with 2 medals, a 2nd and a 4th, what a great cap to a great career.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she's had a great couple of weeks. She also signed with State Fair for women's basketball just a few weeks ago as well. But for Pollard to go ahead and, it's very validating to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to take on a new challenge this year and focus solely on this, and then to walk away, like you said, with 2 medals. Very validating for her to also sit there and say, yeah, I am that athlete,
Yeah.
So great for her, and just she's got a bright future ahead. Obviously, she won't be doing it in track and field, but still, I mean, for the State Fair coaching staff, they got to be sitting there saying, man, look what our new signee just did.
And who knows, with the college landscape, that may be something that ends up being on the table in the future. We also saw the future in the 400 as AJ's Jaden Girardi, who's just a sophomore. Yeah. She ended up finishing 6th. Also want to, shout out Carbondale triple jumper Aaliyah Penn, the other state runner-up. She finished in 2nd. And I believe she had qualified on Friday. I think it was towards maybe the bottom of the, there's 12 that advance. I think she might have been 10th, and to finish 2nd is a monster jump to take.
Sure.
I know it's triple jump. See what I did there. But again, Marion had in addition to Emma Skeet, who again a freshman, to go up and to go on that biggest stage, and that's an incredible thing. And Brenna Stearns, a senior, to go out 4th in the 300 hurdles. I talked to her afterwards, and she PR'd. And
that's all you can ask for.
I mean, what more could you ask for? Yeah. I did my best on the biggest stage running for the championship, and you know what? There's 3 people that were faster. That's okay on this day, and what a great wrap up to a great career.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can sit there and say, man, I wish I would have done even a little bit better and maybe come away with the championship. But I mean, when you PR in basically the biggest race of the year, you can't ask for that. Again, like you said, you gave your very best effort there.
No doubt.
Everything that you were preparing for in that moment. Yeah, you didn't walk away with a top 3 finish, but you still finished the best that you ever have, and still you get a 4th place medal. That's pretty good.
Yeah, no question about that. And so now this weekend, it's the boys' turn. 1A held their preliminaries on Thursday, which is yesterday from when we're recording. The 2A boys are actually out doing the qualifying or the preliminaries as we speak. 3A will be later this afternoon. All the finals tomorrow in Charleston, in 1A, it's a bit of a struggle for the Southern athletes. We have a couple that have qualified in 2. Johnson City's Carson Murrah qualified in the shot put and the disc. He's joined in the shot put finals by teammate Evan Sanders. So those 2 will be going after medals tomorrow. And really, the South is pretty well represented. Also, Brenner Inman from Nashville. He was 10th in qualifying. So those 3 will be going after medals in 1A. Murrah also in the discus, as we mentioned. And then, when you talk about the hurdles, you've got the young man from Christ Our Rock Lutheran, and I'm struggling to find it as again. There it is.
names.
Landon. Yeah, the start list. Landon Mitchell. He's a junior, and he qualified for 2 events as well. But those were the only 2 that we have in the 1A on the track up at Charleston. And then the other one that's going after a defense of his state title, Carmi White County's Mitchell Edwards in the high jump is qualified, and he will try to defend that title tomorrow.
Yeah. And I mean, he's fantastic at it. We talked about him plenty during basketball season. But I mean, high jump, he's very good at the high jump, and especially for somebody with his frame, that helps. But that also, your body gets a little bit more out of control. People that are his height are always growing into their body, and so that it'll be a challenge, as it always is for him. But he's very skilled at it, and hopefully he can defend.
Yeah, and he's a guy that last year was just, hey, I'm going to get back into track, and I mean, again. It'd be nice if some of these guys and gals shared some of their talents with other people, because here's a guy that was a standout in basketball, track. He had a great baseball season as well, and allow some other people to do it. But anyway, good luck to Mitchell. And again, in 2A, we've already seen a couple of great performances. Josh Kinsman out to Andrew Kinsman trying to repeat as the shot put champion, and in the preliminary action today, he is 6+ feet ahead of second place, and so he's already got a throw of 59.475, and those preliminary throws carry over. So whatever is your best throw of the 6, 3 today, 3 tomorrow. So he's already got that out there, and so again, Southern Illinois well represented in the throws final. Luke Barnhart from Carterville and Owen Lee from Carbondale. So those 3 plus Casey Tolman from Olney, who is committed to go to Illinois for football. He's also in the final. So 4 from the area, 3 from the immediate area. And so, again, just that opportunity to have the inside track for a state championship. And the same holds for, the long jump, the triple jump. Today's numbers will hold if nobody betters them. And Chris Nelson from Heron is the number 1 after prelims in the long jump, and he went out in 24.5 and he's a little less than 2 inches ahead of Olney's Rex Hallam, and so those 2 had great preliminaries, and so it'll be interesting to see them duke it out tomorrow for a state championship. And again, they're just into the prelims. Just a couple of the early field events are done, so we'll have those posted later of who was able to make the finals. But again, quite a spectacle in Charleston, and we deal with a lot. We see a lot with football and basketball, but the state championships in cross country, in track and field, when you get all of those athletes in that one spot competing, it truly is a spectacle.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you're obviously seeing the best of the best, and so if you're guys like us, we're like, well, you could never do that. But you see guys that are just, again, putting their best effort forward in the big event of the year and just doing feats that, maybe they're not Olympic level, but at the same time, it's like, wow, that is just amazing. It really shows off the athleticism that these student athletes all have.
And the other state tournament going on this weekend is boys tennis, and that's up in the Chicago area. We don't have anybody, after day 1, we don't have anybody alive on the championship side from the immediate area. There's a couple of from Mascoutah and Highland in the doubles that made it to the quarterfinals. They were 3-0 yesterday. We saw the Mascoutah duo of Wyatt Jurgensmeyer and Jordan Beck. They won the Heron sectional, so they are the area tennis fans saw them up close and personal. They're in the quarterfinals. And in 1A, there's several that are still alive in the consolation bracket, which means they can still get up to I believe it's 5th or 6th to medal, and that includes Alkisikas from Centralia. And I believe that's the closest one. I think that's looking at my chicken scratch and the another long list of names. There's several from you spread it out. There's a kid from Newton. There's a kid from Mascoutah, Highland, and Waterloo that are still alive. Now, the other thing, as if there wasn't enough going on this weekend, is we have baseball and softball in 1A and 2A. Sectional titles will be on the line. There's a couple that are on, and a couple regional finals in softball today, and more in those are in 3A, and then even more tomorrow as well as we get down to the nitty gritty, and we'll look at some of the matchups. We'll start in 1A. The Cobden 1A sectional championship game is going to be Waltonville, Sesservalier, and Steelville. That game has been moved from Cobden to SIU, and the winner of that game will be back at SIU Monday afternoon in the super sectional.
Yeah, and I believe who was the one that played Goreville?
That was Steelville.
I believe they played that at SIU too.
Yeah, both semis were at SIU on Wednesday because they had gotten rained down.
That's right.
And so they went ahead and essentially moved the whole sectional there. And again, that's great experience for those guys, whoever wins, to go right back there on Monday.
Exactly. That's where I was leading towards, of just you're comfortable at that point. You're like, we've been here for a week, whereas whoever's coming to the Altamont sectional is not going to have been there for a week, and so they won't know the field as well as whoever comes out of that sectional final. Doesn't mean you're going to win, but it does add a little bit of an advantage to that team.
But it's a college field,
yes,
and it's all turf, and so you've got that to understand angles, and I just think that's a big boost for whoever advances, and they would play the winner of the Altamont sectional, which is the 5 seed Casey Westfield versus the 3 seed Pawnee, and I know there's recency bias, but it seems to me as I've tracked these results from the postseason, both baseball and softball, and we're going to get to one coming up here in 2A that might be the story of the postseason. But so many of the higher seeds, the top seeds are gone.
Yeah,
both the 1s and the 2s are gone, and that's the case in the Altamont sectional.
It's just been pure pandemonium, and you don't see this happen a lot in the baseball postseason. A lot of times it does go chalk, and for the fact that this year it's been not just one subsectional but several subsectionals in the region that have not gone chalk and have gone about as haywire as you could think of, it's been a treat. But at the same time, you do sit there and say, when we get to the state championship, I am a little nervous, but you ride the wave that's going on because you never know what could happen.
And the prime example is in the DuQuoin 2A sectional. The host Indians will be playing for the title. This is an 11 o'clock game tomorrow. They are a 4 seed. They upset Nashville in the regional final at Carterville, and they're facing the Cinderella story of the postseason.
Probably in the state.
The West Frankfort Redbirds, a 10 seed, a team that was, I believe, 3-14 or 3-15 at one point. And they've won 8 in a row and are sitting at 11-15. And to put it in perspective, they have to win out to finish 500. They have to win a state championship to finish 500. But it doesn't matter because they are playing they are red hot right now, right when it matters. They beat Pinckneyville 2-1 in the semis, and now they have a chance against a team they've already seen twice.
Yeah.
The games were 5-2 and 11-9. So it is not unthinkable to think that we're going to have a 10 seed in the super sectional.
It's possible, without a doubt. And I mean, their pitching has been, in my opinion, pretty phenomenal. They've had their moments. They're high school kids. It happens. And they're young is the other thing. Is the Redbirds across the board, when you look at their rosters and all the 3 major sports on the boys' side, they're young. They're primed for coming years, and everything has just been, cherry on top basically all season long for whatever they get. They're happy about. Football season, another example of that, of, man, they're young, but they're looking pretty darn good. They had their stumbles, but this year, especially in baseball, just watching some stuff that they've done and looking at some stuff on paper, they've had some stumbles, but overall, in this 8-game stretch, I think it is, that they've just been fantastic. And taking care of business. Christopher Samples nearly went a whole complete game in the sectional semifinal, but had to be pulled because of the
Pitch
pitch
count.
count, which I think this is his sport from what I understand. Way before baseball season even started, I think Samples, this was what everyone was saying was wait till he gets out onto the mound.
Right.
And, I mean, he's been great in the other sports, but this sport clearly, now that things are rolling, you know, we'll see how that goes. We'll see if he's I'm not sure if he'll be able to go because
No, he can't go.
Yeah, that's
He
what I
can't go
thought.
here, but he, you know, if they would win, he would be
Monday.
able to go back Monday, and so.
But you got to win first.
But yeah, I mean, and
DuQuoin-
it's all hands on deck today, and
exactly.
DuQuoin's in the same way as
Sure.
you know they've got they got a couple guys that they've got Cy Kraft and Max Zimmerman ready to go, and again it was interesting hearing the talk of who would go, and this guy had faced Pinckneyville twice, and this guy had faced West Frankfort twice, so it may depend on who the matchup. The matchup ends up being West Frankfort, so but again it's all hands on deck except for the guys who are out of pitches.
Yeah, and I mean DuQuoin 4 seed, but obviously a very good.
No, yes, and you knew that again at sectional at home. I mean, this was a situation that if you could get out of the regionals, you had to feel pretty good about your opportunity. Again, you still have to go out and play and do the job, but it is there and the opportunity is in front of them.
And I mean, as a reporter, as someone that works on our side of the field, I mean, there is, in terms of whoever comes out on top, it's a great story because it's either the home team wins their sectional title or the Cinderella keeps on dancing a little bit longer. Really, it's a win-win situation. You don't want to see either season end at this point, which you don't really want to when you're on our side either way. But this
no
is,
dogs in the fight.
Exactly. But this is one of those ones that perfect storm. You really don't want to see either one end.
Well, and it's one of those things that I mean, from our perspective, we have great storylines Monday either way.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, again, DuQuoin is a 4 seed. You don't see the 4 seed make the supers very often, and you don't see the 10 seed. And so this reminds me, and again, showing my age here, if you went back through the annals of high school basketball, the 1994 SIU Super Sectional, Pinckneyville goes on to win the state title, but they ran into a Heron team in the Supers, and Heron, I believe, was 5-19 maybe going in, to the postseason. Got hot at the right time, made it all the Super, and they gave Pinckneyville fits that Super. But again, so it's not unprecedented. It is just rare to see somebody, talking to some folks after the game, and it's like, a couple weeks ago, could you have even pictured it? And Coach was like, yeah, he's like, these guys could. Nobody else did, but these guys believed. And so, again, hats off to them for doing it, getting it right at the right time.
Right. Well, and I mean, for West Frankfort specifically, if you think about it, you win on Saturday and then you find a way to win on Monday, you get 2 guaranteed games and hardware coming back no matter what.
Right, you get a trophy, and again, when you're sitting 3-15, a trophy is the last thing on your mind.
This will be the talk of those kids for the next 50 years, guaranteed. They will not shut up about it. I promise you.
Now, the other sectional that feeds into the SIU Super is the T-Town sectional, and this is going to be an Effingham County battle, as it's T-Town and Effingham St. Anthony.
Go figure.
The 1 and the 2 making it to the title game there. So one of the sectionals where the seeds, the appropriate seeds may have held, but that's going to be a bloodbath, and the winner's coming to Carbondale.
And I mean, they're the exact 2 that you do expect, not just because they went chalk, but because they're Effingham, St. Anthony, and Teutopolis. And I'm pretty sure they've basically been in this spot for, again, the other 3 major sports basically every time this year. It is what it is. They're just that good.
Right. And so when you look at 3A, you're talking about regional finals, and these games are all Saturday. At Salem, the host Wildcats will face top seed at Effingham. At Civic Memorial, it'll be Triad, the top seed, against Highland. Mascoutah still doesn't have the final set because they were rained out yesterday. Waterloo and Freeburg will play this afternoon, with the winner getting the host Indians for the title on Saturday. And then at Centralia, it is Marion and Centralia for the championship Championship. That game is at 11 o'clock, and this turned out to be pretty much a South 7 conference tournament.
Yep.
Marion took care of Carbondale in the semis. Centralia scored late to beat Mount Vernon in the other semifinal, and it sets up, of course, naturally, an all South 7 final.
Yeah, well, and they love that, I'm sure. But at the same time, they're like, man, we got to see you guys again. That's how it goes, especially usually in the early going, as we talked about West Frankfort DuQuoin. They've seen each other twice, but also, when you're talking about South 7, I think they get tired of each other pretty quickly.
Right, and those two have collided in high level, high leverage games in multiple sports. So that's big time. All right, switching gears to softball again. 1A and 2A are sectional finals, and we have some that are playing on Friday, but not necessarily our games in our immediate area. Trico, the final is the 3 seed Alvarado and the 1 seed Waltonville Sesavalier. That is an 11 o'clock Saturday game, and the winner of that game goes to the SIU Super Sectional to play the winner of the KZ Westfield 1A Sectional, which is Windsor Stu Strauss and KZ Westfield, a 2 versus 1. So in softball, at least in the SIU Super, the people that are supposed to get there pretty much have, and Waltonville Sesavalier and Alvarado is a matchup that is not terribly surprising. Those have been two very good teams all year, and now they get to play for a sectional title.
Yeah, Waltonville was one that when the season ended, I kind of expected to be here at that point. Alvarado just has, especially since Morgan Bernardini, they've just had tradition to be this good, so it's not a surprise one way or another. They, I think, had maybe a little bit tougher path there that you looked at and was like, they could get there, but there was a couple of road bumps in the way, but no surprise there.
Well, they've taken out they've taken out the Crab Orchard, who was the top seed in their regional, and then they took out Goreville, who was the top seed in the sectional in the opposite subsectional. So they certainly have earned their stripes to get this shot, and WSV is really hit the stride here. About midway through the season, they've been great down the stretch. They've played a tough schedule. You've played big schools. They don't shy away, and so very interesting final setup for Trico tomorrow. And again, Windsor Stu Strauss and KZ Westfield. Those are, I believe, both top 10 ranked teams in the state. So whoever advances will be a handful at SIU. Now we go to 2A and just a delicious matchup, that we talked about for a regular season game that didn't really pan out that way. But it's Carterville and Anna Jonesboro for the Murfreesboro 2A sectional championship. That's a noon game tomorrow in Murfreesboro. And again, Johnston City surprised Pinckneyville in the regional final. Then AJ was able to take care of business versus Johnston City. Carterville held off a very good Redbud team in the semifinals. 3-1 game was the final there, and 8-4 AJ beat Johnston City. And so now it sets up these two teams who, arguably have been two of, if not the top two teams in the area. Obviously Marion's been very good, Waltonville, Sesavalier, and all that, but Carterville and AJ have, when you looked at those two, and we even talked about it on this very podcast, this is a sectional final preview.
Yep, basically, and here we are now once again, and it's a twofer for Anna Jonesboro because, that final score from that regular season matchup was not what they wanted to see by any means. They walked away from that and said, well, I guess we got some work to do, don't we? And so this is a redemption type of game for them. Obviously they want to win it, but if they keep it respectable, at least then they can say, see, that was a fluke earlier in the season. But obviously, if you take the loss still, then obviously they're upset that their season. But it's a twofer for them because they get to potentially get a sectional title and also prove to people that wasn't the real us back in April. But for Carterville, I mean, it's real simple. You either win and you get to continue defending your title, or you go home against a very good AJ team. But still, you sit and say this probably was a bit of a failure of a season in just terms of didn't get back to the super sectional.
Well, and this is again, it tells you about the level of softball here in the South is the fact that this is a sectional title game. It's a super sectional type combination of teams, and in that first game when the two teams met, I mean, it was a 5-inning affair. Cadence Phillips was dominant, and this is an AJ lineup that has. Thunder, especially the top four, but, up and down the lineup they can hit. But the top four is incredible. Kansas Craig has 24 home runs, which is third all time in the record books in the IHSA annals. But she's got, she's not the only bat in that lineup. And so, but Cadence Phillips threw a one-hitter. Mm-hmm. And so, and I believe there was 12 or 13 strikeouts in those 15 outs. So they've seen her.
Oh, yeah.
And so now will they be able to make the adjustments in the second time? And, again, Phillips has been phenomenal all season. She shut down Redbud in the semifinals. And so, again, what a matchup. This is what you hope for.
Well, and just to talk to the quality of how good the players are, I'm in just as many offices for high school coaches that I am as in college coaches. And I see those boards. I keep it secret for them, obviously, but I see those boards. And when it comes to softball, that is where I see the most local names. Sure. I say, I know that name. Yep. You go into other offices for other sports, there might be once in a while, you'll see, oh, yeah, I know those names. Softball, always, it's local names. And so, you see some of these kids that are going to be in the sectionals, 1A, 2A, that, those are ones that are being looked at by powerhouse softball teams in the area that are saying, I want that one. This is going to be a juicy matchup.
No doubt. And so the winner of the Murfreesboro sectional will play the winner of the Vandalia sectional, and this is a 1-versus-1. This is Columbia Newton, and they're actually playing this afternoon. And so we will know who will be waiting for either AJ or Carterville at SIU on Monday. But again, these are two teams, Columbia and Newton, that they were the top seeds, or they are the top seeds for a reason. Yeah. So this is whoever. The matchup Monday at Southern is going to be phenomenal.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Whether you get Anna Jonesboro and their explosive offense or Carterville, who's, I would say, maybe a little bit more balanced, but they have one of the best pitchers in Illinois. Either way. But then, you get those two coming out of that sectional. It's going to be a fantastic game on Monday at SIU.
No doubt. 3A regional finals, the ones involving the area teams, the finals are today at Centralia. The Annies will take on Triad. That is a 2-versus-3 matchup. And at Marion, the host Lady Wildcats will face South 7 rival Carbondale. Carbondale with the upset in the semis, rallying from down 6-2 to beat Effingham 9-7 in 9 innings in the semifinal game. I believe that was Wednesday. And so Marion and Carbondale for a regional final at Marion, that's pretty attractive as well.
Yeah, well, and Marion's won both games, and this is more of a basketball thing. But, a lot of coaches and teams say, I don't want to see that team a third time. It rings true in other sports. You hear it mostly in basketball. But, Carbondale, they're rolling right now. Obviously, they didn't have maybe the season that they had hoped for, but it doesn't matter. It's the postseason. You're in a regional title game. You're seeing one of your big rivals who you remember the pain of losing to them twice this season. They're a dangerous team right now. So Marion, very solid team. But if they don't come in taking care of business today, then it's going to be a Carbondale win. Yeah, and it's one of those things where it feels like in the postseason – you can, again, pitching is everything. And, a hot pitcher can shut down even the best lineups. It's a lot like hockey. The goaltender the hot goalie can take you to the cup. And, but the flip side of that is that sometimes it's easy for it to unravel. Mm-hmm. And, it will be interesting to see, who can make the critical plays in those situations. Obviously, Marion has a little more experience, having made it to the sectional last year. And will that be a factor? I mean, that, we'll just have to wait and see. And again, it looks like the weather is cleared out, so that shouldn't be a factor. But again, just we know that we're going to have a South 7 team in the sectional
Might have 2 if Centralia can take care of its business at home, which they've kind of flown under the radar a little bit. They shared the conference title with Marion, and again, having the opportunity to play at home, going to have to beat to beat the Mississippi Valley School to get that done. But that's certainly an opportunity that's going to be there for the Annies.
Yeah, and I go back to just what you were saying about pulling the thread and everything in the Carbondale-Marion game. Effingham, I don't think saw Carbondale earlier this season, so that's a team that you don't have a lot of. It's different from getting the scout, watching some film versus being up there in the box, obviously, or in the circle, but. A team like Mary, they've got that experience. They know how to pull that thread. But at the same time, if Carbondale's got a new wrinkle, all of a sudden now you got to start saying, well, the thread's not pulling the way I expect it to. So, yeah, it depending on just how much Carbondale has maybe changed since the last matchup, it could be a totally different outcome. It's going to be really interesting.
Right. And again, that old adage in the baseball softball is hitting's contagious.
It is,
and I actually I said that to Jerry Kill one day about something else, and he was like, the opposite's true too. And I was like, wow, I hadn't really thought of that, but because we always hear, hitting's contagious. So 1 through 9 ends up on a roll, but then sometimes it's the other way too, and so Well,
they scored 9 runs the other day, so you would like to think that they're rolling at the right time, but you run into a brick wall sometimes, but sometimes you run right through that brick wall, which is another kind of Jerry Kill reference there, because everybody wanted to run through a brick wall for Jerry.
I'll just throw out a hard hat and lunch pail group, and that's what we are here as we wrap up another River Radio Sports Central podcast, powered by our friends at NovaCare Rehabilitation. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. For Matty V, I'm Darren Kennard. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll talk to you next week.